So yeah, he had this one listed for $170, and I had 140 in my pocket from the Gundam money, and I did not want to get out more money or anything. I wanted to solely use this money that I originally, uh, got from my investment. Hey guys, Steve from Cantu Comics here. Today I've got a little bit different episode. Today is going to focus on how you can acquire some of your collectible items by just selling some of your existing ones and not really digging deep into your pockets. So let's jump in. So one of them was a Gundam Astray gold frame master grade that I had sitting around. I got it from, I believe it was either Anime Expo or WonderCon, like straight from Bandai's booth. I got it for like 50 bucks, and nowadays they go for like 180. So I had it on Offerup. It's been sitting for a while, lowered the price a little bit. And I also had another Gundam model, which was like one of those Star Wars Bandai like A-Wing models. That was gifted to me, so my cost on that was $0. So I ended up just selling them to a guy who was interested in them. I just bundled both of them together for 140 bucks. I met him in Anaheim when my family went to Disneyland. I did the deal, so I pocketed under $40. So I was sitting there going, okay, we're going to Disneyland. I ended up getting free tickets. I didn't have to pay for parking, and we actually had vouchers for snacks. So the only thing we paid for was lunch. But anyways, I ended up not spending that money. So I was kind of thinking like, well, what should I do with that 140? And I figured, why don't I just put this straight back into a comic book or some original comic art or something of that matter. So I'm like, okay, I finally had an opportunity today. I had the free day, and I was like, I haven't been to Frankensons in literally years. I haven't even been there since they moved to their new location. So if you're not from Southern California, like specifically Los Angeles area, Frankensons Collectibles, it's basically took over a Sam's Club, an old Sam's Club that moved locations. This huge warehouse. They took it over, and they have like literally like 100 plus vendors, and they're all selling stuff either from like trading cards, comic books, retro video games. You see a lot of sports memorabilia. So it's a great place if you're looking to find a lot of collectible items. So, and like I said, back when I was a bachelor, I used to go literally every Wednesday and Saturday. I was there. That's how I actually amassed a lot of my comics. So I finally go, have my $140, and in the back of my head, I was like, well, I do have some old slabs that ended up getting low grades, and like, well, let me just bring them with me in case I find something that's more than $140, and maybe I can trade up to get something a little bit nicer. So I brought a X Factor number 6, the first appearance of Apocalypse. I had it graded at like a 7, it's pretty low. So I brought that with me. I brought a Black Panther number 1 from the 70s. His first like ongoing series. It had water damage on it. I had forgotten when I submitted to CGC. It came back at 5.5. So it's just been sitting in my collection. I figured, well, it's not worth that much anymore, maybe like 40, 50 bucks. So I'll just bring it with me. And then I had a Miss Marvel number 1 from 1977. This one also had some water damage, graded at 5.0. So I figured, well, I already have nicer copies of this. So I just brought them with me just to supplement. So we go to Frankensons. I haven't been there, of course, so I wanted to check it out. Went through all the aisles, and surprisingly, there wasn't that many comic vendors, which is weird. There's used to be like literally half of it was just comic books. So yeah, there was about, I want to say like 6 like good sized vendors that had like strictly comic books. I kind of went through, there's one vendor who I'll go more into detail with him later, Sky Mike. He actually had an Uncanny X-Men 95. Pretty good condition. You had it for 145 bucks. It was maybe a 6.5, 7.0. And I looked at it, I'm like, well, I'll come back. Let me look around. So I go check out other places. I didn't really see anything that caught my eye. So I decided to head back. When I was there was another guy actually looking at the same book, and I was just like, oh, okay. Well, we'll see what happens. So I'm just like looking through his other stuff. That guy ends up buying the book. So, it's fine. The guy even asked, because Mike said, oh yeah, he was actually looking at it earlier and he passed. He said he was going to come back. And the guy's like, oh no, you can have it, man. And I'm like, no, dude, it's fine. I didn't come here looking specifically for this book. I'm just checking out stuff. So no, go for it. So yeah, he went ahead and bought it. I'm sitting here looking through books, and then Mike was showing me some more stuff that he had in the back. Like in this little, he had some short boxes in the back that he had, just like some random. He had actually some pretty nice Star Wars books, like later on, like issues like 80 through 90. really, really nice, like near mint minus, like really, really nice ones. But I'm not really big into Star Wars comics, so I passed on those. And then we're talking about like other books, like Spawn and stuff. And then he had brought up, he's like, hey, he's like, do you want to see something really cool? He's like, something, one of a kind, that if you're really like a Spawn fan, this is something really cool. So I was thinking maybe it was like, Malibu Sun, like one of his like first like cameo appearances or something, or maybe some memorabilia from the Spawn movie. But no, it ended up being animation cells from the original HBO series. And I was like, oh crap, yeah, I remember that. Like, I don't even come across these very often because there was only like 6 episodes total. So like 3 seasons worth of, a handful of episodes. So yeah, he's just, talking to him, going through them. They had some like, he actually had some that were like $10, but they were just like, lips moving or, really, really minimal animation cells, which I wasn't really interested in those. But further in the back, he had some nicer ones. So he had like a nice bust of Spawn. And so I went ahead and I was like, okay, this one's 170, well, it's actually right here. So this one right here. So this one has the pencils as well. So you got Spawn there, and then the pencils that kind of tell on the production guide, like, where to lay down the blacks, where to lay down all the colors. So yeah, he had this one listed for $170. And I had 140 in my pocket from the Gundam money, and I did not want to get out more money or anything. I wanted to solely use this money that I originally, got from my investments. So I told him, straight up, I was just, just really honest with him. Like, okay, I'm interested in this piece right here. I have 140 cash, and then I have these 3 slabs on me, and I pulled them out, and I'm like, yeah, these. Because I know, honestly, they're not desirable anymore. No one really wants those books, especially in that grade. So I knew I was going to take a little bit of hit on those. So I figured the fair market value of each of those was roughly 30 to 50 bucks. So I kind of told him, like, are you open to 140 cash plus one of these slabs, just to get this animation cell? So he wasn't too familiar with those particular grades, because they weren't 9/8 or anything. And at the same time, he said himself he's never slabbed a book before. He's very old school, and I mean, he has some slab books. Like, he had a Uncanny X-Men #1 3.5 just sitting in his little glass in his glass display. I wasn't feeling like spending that much money, even though that's something that I would have wanted. But he doesn't really deal much with the slabs, so he was actually he was interested just because they're already slabbed, they're already graded, even though they're not the highest. So he kind of took a look. He's just doing some quick research, and he roughly told me, he's like, yeah, generally, with like trade-ins or selling, I would pay about half the value, which is understandable. I wasn't going in there I didn't want to assume he was going to give me fair market value. He's got to make some money too. So I figured, but since it's going to be a trade-in, I'm already giving him cash, so maybe be a little more inclined to just kind of do the swap. So he kind of looked at Black Panther 1. He's just like, okay. And then he went to Miss Marvel, and then he was just kind of doing some nods. He's like, all right, yeah. He's like, I think we could do this, and we'll both be happy. Neither one of us is getting ripped off. We're both going away happy and satisfied. So yeah, so I traded in the Miss Marvel #1 from 1977, 5.0. It actually presented really well. It was just had some water damage. It's generally any kind of water damage, your book's going to get like a 5. Doesn't matter. It's just, it could look like a 9/8, it's going to get a 5. It's just what happens. So yeah, we straight up swapped it. I got this. I will add it to my anime cell collection. So let's take another look here. So a really nice clean. It does not have the backgrounds though. I wish I had the background. Actually, none of his cells had the background. I was trying to get some comps on what these are, and obviously I paid a lot less. I'll do the whole breakdown of what I initially paid for everything, and then what my cost in the end was to acquire this. But at least at the list price of 170, it's about fair market. So on eBay, you can kind of see something of this caliber of this amount of like character and like paint on the cell with the pencils. Yeah, it's around 170. I've seen some as low as 150. But with this kind of like action going on here, it's fair. And obviously the ones with the backgrounds, I see people selling them or trying to sell them for like 700, 495, pretty high up there. And it's understandable because there was only 6 episodes created, so there's not a lot of cells to go around. Plus, they don't make cells like this way anymore. Everything's all digital. So yeah, I think that this was a really good deal. So to wrap up, what the cost was for this, so my 2 Gundam models, so I paid $50 for the gold frame, and the other one was a gift. The Star Wars Gundam was a gift, so my cost there was $50. And then my Miss Marvel book, I bought that book for $2 about 15-16 years ago from Captain Nemo Comics in Salem Smithville. I've mentioned them in the past. I used to get a lot of books from them, upstairs, just tucked away. So yeah, I remember I had pulled 2 Miss Marvel #1s. One of them graded a 9.4, and then this other one graded a 5.0 with a little water damage. So yeah, so I paid $2, and when I graded it, the cost for CGC was $18 at the time. So that's a $20 cost there, plus the 50. I'm $70 in. So I used those profits basically. So I got a $170 sell for $70. So in the end, I'm happy. Mike's happy. We're all happy. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye and happy hunting out there.